Hey everyone, this is Nandi.
And Destiny.
She's not photo. She's video bombing me today here on day 25 of testing the no baking soda deodorant formula. For me, everything is going good. From what I've heard from the majority of my volunteers, things are going great. We've had a few kind of oops, don't know if it quite failed, quite passed or whatever. But other than that, we're still plowing ahead because for the most part, we've had pass. The interesting thing that we're finding out from our men testers is that men will suffer through all kinds of abrasive stuff under their arms. That's the only way to put it. They'll use baking soda and it burns their arms black underneath. And they'll still continue to use baking soda. They'll use the deodorant that is, with baking soda that is causing them to flare up. And they'll just keep using it so that, they would rather the pain over the funk, I'm guessing. Or maybe it's just a hard-headed man thing. I know that one of our male volunteers, the one that decided to volunteer himself, he has made it a habit now to use his wife's testing stick, to the point where she has found man hairs. And who wants man hairs on their deodorant when you're a woman and it's your deodorant? So she has been battling him. Well, I think she's losing because there were man hairs on her deodorant. So he is actually loving it. Like he says, there's no itching, no burning. So that's Pleasantville for him. And I'm not talking, wasn't there a show called Pleasantville?
I think so.
Or something like that. I don't know why I'm having this TV recall from days when they would force me to listen to a television, because I can't even say I actually even watched anything called that. It's just something, that's programming though. That's the kind of thing it can do to your head. It'll stay there for years. There's commercials from back in the day I still remember and don't know why,
remember a lot
yeah,
of things.
yeah. Well, I've forgotten more than I'll ever remember, but yeah, I know what you mean. So that is what our update has been thus far as deodorant goes. The stick, remember, I was worried about whether it was too firm or too soft, and I didn't want it to be either. I wanted to try to get some middle ground. Well, what I'm hearing is I did get that middle ground. Most of the receivers, when they started their testing, it was soft on the day they received it because it had sat in the in the postal truck or at their house by the front door or something like that. So it was soft that first day, but the next day it had firmed up for them. And like they said that, once they do that first swipe under the arm, it starts to, it melts right in and it's real easy to apply it. So I think I may stay right there at that level where I have it, because that could be the perfect stick for hot weather. Now, as winter comes in, I may have to soften it a little bit more, but we're going to see, because, sometimes, and, I'm going to let you know this, as product makers, sometimes we do have to change our formulas a little bit to accommodate the seasons, especially when you're using natural products. When they're using the more conventional ones, they can use a lot of different synthetic ingredients to get that texture. That's why when you buy things from them like butters and lotions, well, the things that they call butter, because a lot of them actually are not selling real butter. So to me, once you add water to it, you no longer have a body butter. You have a lotion or a cream. But since they call it body butter, I'm going to go with the body butter part. But the reason why theirs does not melt and lose its texture and consistency is because of the synthetic ingredients that they have to add in there to keep that texture consistent, basically year long. No matter what the weather is and stuff like that. But with natural products, you don't have the same thing happen. Even with my body butters, if you were to order one and I ship it to you, there's a great chance that if you didn't order like summer shipping, where I actually put ice packs in there to help it out a little bit, it's no guarantee, but it helps it out. It helps keep it in that initial state for a little bit longer. But if you didn't order it and it's really hot and it sits on the truck all day, by the time you get it, it will have deflated because of the air. For one, the air bubbles that were in there from whipping it, they'll collapse. So the butter is going to sink down and it's going to collapse in turn. So it'll look like you got this big old jar with a little bit of butter in there, because of course I have to use bigger jars because they're whipped. But saying all that to say is that when it's natural, there aren't a lot of things available to you that you can use in there to help it keep its texture and consistency no matter the season or the heat or whatever environmental factors come into play. So that is and the same with the deodorant. Now the good thing is with some of the ingredients I have in there, like beeswax and the clay, it kind of still helps hold it to the point where it's not, like I said, pouring out of the cap and everything like that. But that's not to say that can't happen depending on where you leave that deodorant. If you leave it in your car, in the hot sun or something like that, it's a good possibility it could melt to that point. So with natural, that's where things go different. And that's, and really for me, that is my biggest focus when it comes to natural, products. I know that when it comes to conventional, we can't compete with that texture look. We can compete with the feel. We can compete with the effectiveness, depending on what it is. But we can't compete when it comes to what their synthetic ingredients can do versus what more natural products are capable of doing. And I'm not going to even get into the whole, because I think I told you about everything is natural, but in this case we're doing this separation because this is something that people discuss when they're looking at conventionally marketed products that may contain synthetic ingredients in it versus natural ones that you're hoping that because you say it's natural, everything in there should be natural. And I'm a big opponent of that. A big proponent of that. If it says that it's natural, everything on there, I'm expecting it to be natural. Matter of fact, I'm actually expecting you to show me every ingredient in there. Convince me that your product is something that is worth buying. And that's one thing that you always want to look for when it comes to natural. Just because it says natural on the front of the jar, the bottle, the tube, whatever it is, does not mean it's natural until you can look at those ingredients and say, hey, okay, yeah, this is cocoa butter, this is cocoa butter, whatever it is something that's easily pronounceable and that is naturally sourced. It's not all these names that run with about 27 letters and there'd be a monoglycerides and yes, and all that triglycerides and things like that. So that is all I have for you today on day 25 of my journey through this baking soda free trial. And again, like I said, this was my inspiration for it. This is what got it all started. So if you are just coming into the series, you can catch us on YouTube at Nandiya, Nandiyaa. You can also catch us on our business Facebook page at Nandi's Naturals. Come on. And don't forget, visit our website, www.nandisnaturals.com. Again, that's www.nandisnaturals.com. Thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate you. Tell them we're out of here, Destiny.
Yeah.